Good day, dear friends. Welcome to this Sunday, the 24th of August, 2 days before America's celebration. I'm so glad you can join us. Make sure you are signed in. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you are subscribed to Lionel Nation. The number of people who visit our humble abode, our channel, and do not subscribe is something that is, well, it's something to behold. So I welcome you, one and all. My friends, I'd like to discuss something today, which is, again, par for my course. I'm not a cheerleader. If you want me to say how great everything is, you got the wrong show. The things that are great, you don't need me to tell you. I think there's a lot of good that the president's doing. I think there's a lot of good that a lot of folks are doing. But I also think there's a lot of, sad to say, a lot of insanity that is going on here. And there's a lot of very scary stuff that has to be done. And we, as folks, have to do a lot to fix this. Let me see if I can explain. We like to sit back sometimes, and I'm going to throw myself into this. I'm going to say we for all of this. We love to not encourage, teach, provide tutorials, nothing. We don't do this for reasons I really don't understand. Let me give you an example of something. I was watching something which is very, very interesting. I had Max Blumenthal and Katie Halper and Lafredo, the journalist who was taken into custody by Israel. There was Savvy Sabs or whatever, and it was really something. I think they were in East Rutherford, New Jersey. But the point is, they have these various symposia, and what they do is they meet with people, but they teach you. And it's very, very important about what they do. They teach you. They teach you what E1 is, what the various, how do I say this? The various areas, what they are, what they're called. And they will do everything in their power to explain to you what is going on. I am always talking to people theoretically in the know, theoretically hip, theoretically savvy, who really don't know what I'm talking about. And that's a problem. They really don't know what I'm talking about. I was talking the other day, just recently, about restorative justice, about the Soros connection, about Democratic socialists. They're not really socialists. I try to explain the problem with J.D. Vance and Palantir and Peter Thiel. And I got a lot of folks telling me things like, I don't know who this is or what you're talking about. So I'm stuck. How do I explain, especially there are some people who say that, J.D. Vance is going to be great. Well, why is J.D. Vance great? Well, because maybe he looks great, or maybe you think he's great. Maybe he looks tough. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure how this works. But I said, do you know anything about him and his relationship with Peter Thiel and Palantir? Again, what are you talking about? What are these names? Who were these people? I don't get it. I'm saying, okay, well, this may be a problem. Trying to explain this, trying to bring it apart. So we need to start off by constantly teaching people and going out and not merely providing funny memes, going on Fox News. We need to really explain things to people. Name the subject: 9/11, deep state, intel state, surveillance state, whatever it is that you want to talk about. And I promise you, you will have people who do not understand what it is you're talking about. So if you don't understand what I'm talking about, what is it that I'm supposed? How do I? What do I do? What do I do? How do I fix this? How do I put this into? I don't know how to. I don't know how to fix it. So what I'm trying to do is I have to explain a few things, and then I get this. Yeah, but that's New York. Leave New York. That's the whole thing. Everybody leave. Everybody's going to leave, or where am I going to go? Think about this. Every time something has ever happened, somebody would say to you, well, leave. Leave? Well, if you don't like something, leave. Just leave. Give up. I don't understand why that is. I don't know. I don't understand why somebody would want to just leave. And they say this on a regular basis. And a lot of it, too, is people love to just slam New York or slam LA. And this is what we've become. We've become a country of trolls. And we make jokes. And we laugh. And everybody's stupid. And everybody's crazy. You see where I'm going with this? And you know what I'm talking about. We don't really, we're not really a party. We don't have a party. There is no Republican Party, right? There is none. You know that, right? There's no Republican. I don't know what it is. But I don't know. I don't know what are we talking about? I don't know. And here in New York, the person who's doing the most about this, who's saying the most, Curtis Lewa, people love to constantly say, oh, he doesn't have a chance. What is this? Why doesn't he have a chance? Of course he does. Well, he might not, because there should have been absolutely positively an effort to get out the vote. So what I'm trying to tell you, my friends, is I don't want to sit around and just complain about stuff and make fun of people. I want to say this is what we need to do, or here's the problem. If people understood what's going on, they would change their mind. Some things I'm not able to change people's minds on. For example, abortion. Abortion is the most ridiculous waste of time. Don't waste your time on that, because not everybody will come along to it. Not everybody will grasp the notion of abortion. They just won't. They won't understand it. But crime they will. Crime, believe me, they can be made to understand it, because believe it or not, they will very well come into contact with some type of crime problem, but they're not going to come up or come into to encounter any kind of an abortion issue. Abortion is a waste of time. Abortion is a part of these people who think that, life is special. Yeah, it is. I think it is. Life begins at conception. Oh, I agree with you. What does that do? I don't know. Doesn't help anything. What am I supposed? How do I win people's elections with this? What do I do with this? You got midterms coming up, then you got J.D. Vance. How many people think J.D. Vance is the guy? You think J.D. Vance could be? What do you know about him? Nothing. You believe this hillbilly story? Okay, all right. It's a great story. Do you know what Palantir is? No. That's the thing that is so interesting. How do people not understand that? What are they reading? What are they reading? By the way, Curtis Lewa has my vote, 100%. If anybody, I'm voting for him. And I was texting him the other day. I said, look, it's not, I've known him for over 30 years. I said, it's not because of that. There's nobody else. 28 is a long way off. Somebody actually wrote it. Somebody wrote, 28 is a long way off. Did you see this? 28 is a long way off. Oh my God. Wow. And Mamdani will win. It's a foregone conclusion. It's a matter of not only polls, but the people who were here. You see, I was talking to somebody. I said, "This is yesterday, as a matter of fact. We went to a nice talking to some friends." He said, "Well, why? How do you know? Why doesn't Curtis do this?" I said, "A Republican is not going to win in New York City." And I don't want to make this to be New York centric, but the last time it happened was with Bloomberg, and he really wasn't a Republican. And then there was Rudy Giuliani, and Rudy Giuliani became a mayor because at the time Staten Island was on the ballot to secede. So I'm but let's talk about something which is the most important, and that's something which is bigger. This is called restorative justice. This is called E-ZPass for criminals and a one-way ticket to chaos. This is what is happening. This is something people have to understand. Not just New York, everywhere. Everywhere. When the Post broke its story today that Zohran Mamdani, the Queen's Assemblyman, darling of the Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, and now leading contender for New York City mayor, that he was campaigning on a platform decriminalize all misdemeanor offenses. The headline practically wrote itself, E-ZPass for criminals. That's not just Curtis Lewa's colorful line, it's the reality the New Yorkers and the country face if they allow not only his radical scheme, but this move to take place in our country. Everybody has got to go and explain what this means and not just think, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this. Not by going on Sean Hannity and thinking that's going to do something. Why this is done? They're not watching Sean Hannity. This isn't simply a tweak to show justice is administered. It's not about recalibrating police priorities or reforming sentencing guidelines. His plan and the plan of these people would obliterate consequences, remove consequences for a wide spectrum of crimes that are critical. From shoplifting and petty theft to low-level drug possession to fare evasion to prostitution, even drunk driving under certain circumstances. This is broken window all over again. All over again. He wants to rip out one of the last remaining guardrails protecting civil order in a city already, and by the way, a country already teetering from failed progressive experiments. Okay? Now, this is not just a New York thing. This is for everybody because they're moving this out everywhere. So they are providing you, they are telling you this is our ideological blueprint. They're telling you this. They don't hide. To understand him and other people, you have to understand the Democratic Socialists of America. Their 2021 platform paints policing and incarceration as mechanism of class oppression. That is as close to Marxism as you're going to get. Class. Tools designed to suppress the working poor rather than protect the public. You see, the long-term goal is nothing less than dismantling of the carceral state, the carceral incarceration, from cops on the beat to prison walls. Make no bones about it. So this feller, steeped in this ideology, frames misdemeanor enforcement as a distraction for the police. Distraction! Forcing officers to deal with social failures instead of genuine threats. He argues to many people that resources should be shifted to violent crime, while non-serious offenses are diverted into restorative justice programs. But when you do that, they're not going to be going after violent crimes. They're not. See, that might sound humane in theory and it sounds terrific, but in practice, it's a blank check for criminal behavior. Restorative justice isn't about accountability, it's about dialogue. Victims and offenders sit in a room and work it out. It's nice on a campus pamphlet, but it's dangerous in a city of 8 million people where predators and others really don't need group therapy. They need deterrence. And that's one of the issues that we're talking to. Plain and simple. The reality of misdemeanors. This is the part. Let's be clear. Misdemeanors are not harmless quirks. They're not civil infractions. They're crimes where you can receive only up to a year. That's all it means. They're the glue crimes that shape daily, the glue crimes that address and deal with daily life in the city. Shoplifting isn't just about a stolen shirt. It drives up prices, closes stores, destabilizes neighborhoods, and fosters an idea of a disrespect for law and order. Fare evasion undermines the entire transit system, shifting billions in costs onto honest commuters and the like. Petty assaults may not grab headlines, but for the victim left bruised or terrified, it's not non-serious by any stretch of the imagination. Even drunk driving, oh dear God, drunk driving under the misdemeanor threshold can shatter lives. Ask any parent who's lost their child to a driver just under the blood alcohol felony line. I have prosecuted hundreds of these. You don't know. You might have said, well, I have a few drinks. You don't know what people do on a regular basis. You cannot grasp how bad this problem is. So this guy and others, they want to erase these consequences altogether. You know, tossing into some nebulous bucket of restorative justice or something. Remember that term. This is not just there's the Curtis Sliwa warning, which is important. Curtis Sliwa, by the way, who's a Republican candidate, a long time in New York, agitator, agitprop, and I think prototypical crime fighter, summed it up perfectly. He says, this is an easy pass for criminals. Offenders get to glide past the toll booth of justice without paying a price. And chaos becomes policy. And disorder becomes the new norm. And Sliwa's words resonate because New Yorkers have lived this movie before. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg's Day One memo downgraded a long list of offenses, and the results were instant. Repeat offenders thumbing their nose at cops, revolving door courts, neighborhoods terrorized by emboldened criminals who knew there was no bite behind the mark. Yesterday we were talking about everybody, and maybe, do you live in a city? Do you live in a city? Or do you live in a place where you can always tell about a jurisdiction, whether if you go into like a CVS or something, whether things are locked up. If your stuff is locked up, that's a signal. See, Mamdani isn't about moderating the playbook. He's doubling down on it. That's what this is about. And it's not just him. It's everywhere. It's going to be the same with Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is going to run for president. And it's AOC and it's others and it's Bernie and it's everywhere. And what a mayor can actually do is really critical. Critics could argue that, this Mamdani guy really can't unilaterally rewrite state law. It's true. But Albany controls the statutes. But enforcement is another matter. You see, as this goes with other cities, the mayor could direct the police department to deprioritize arrests for misdemeanors, push city prosecutors to decline cases, effectively nullifying the law, work in tandem, work in concert, strip resources from traditional policing and funnel them into social justice experiments. Let me tell you something. In other words, this is important. In other words, let me put it this way. If you don't think a mayor can affect crime, look what Rudy Giuliani did when he was mayor. He destroyed crime. He was a mayor. So if you don't think a mayor is important, look what Rudy did. In other words, even if the laws stay on the books, they become irrelevant. And a law unenforced is no law at all. And what this is not just New York, but everywhere. The numbers of crimes, and let me ask you something, or tell you something. When social media kicks in, it changes everything drastically. See, residents are reacting. This is fear and fatigue. The New York Post quoted ordinary citizens and residents who see the writing on the wall. There was one Greenwich Village resident who predicted disaster. They said they're driving the city into a hole that's never going to recover. People will break the law with impunity all over the country. Another individual said, we just want a normal, functional, reasonable way to get through our day without worrying about being hurt. This has to be gone out and explained to people. See, that's the quiet majority. Regular citizens who don't want ideology, they want security. They want to ride, subways or walk down the street without stepping over, drug addicts, or walk to bodegas without dodging thieves. And they want to send their kids to school without worrying about rising assaults. And let me ask you something. Do you think for a moment that you've got nothing to worry about because, well, I don't live in these cities? You've got social media. That's another thing. See, the expert skepticism. Raphael Mangual of the Manhattan Institute is a sharp observer of criminal justice policy. And he and other people don't buy this democratic socialist stuff, supposed moderation. See, Mamdani believes he no longer wants to defund the police. See, but that's cosmetic. The core remains the same. Dismantle enforcement, redefine crime away, and pretend chaos equals compassion. This is the way it works. And you have to tell people this. You have to tell people, not by going on Sean Hannity's show, not by going on Greg Kelly, or think that Gutfeld somehow is going to laugh this way into awareness. That people are watching. They're not. They don't care about this. Mr. Mangual's skepticism is warranted. You see, the left has a habit of rebranding failed ideas with new slogans. Defund becomes reimagine. Abolish means decriminalize. But the outcomes remain identical. More crime, more fear, less order. It's that simple. Now, we have heard, and I have heard, lessons from other cities. Look west if you want to see the future under Mamdani or anybody else. San Francisco stopped prosecuting shoplifting. Stopped it. The result? Theft skyrocketed. Walgreens shuttered. Target locked up. Basic goods behind plexiglass. Families fled. Businesses crumbled. And tourists avoided the city. It's by design. Philadelphia tried leniency. Portland embraced restorative justice. Seattle downgraded misdemeanor enforcement. Each became a case study in civic collapse. With skyrocketing property crime, homeless encampments, sprawling, and residents crying out for order all over the country. Now, we in New York, by the way, are scarred from the Alvin Bragg. He is our DA. We don't need to replicate these failures. And we need something to be done. And it's being done concomitantly with this move in D.C. to integrate and to inject law enforcement with federal. See, enforcement matters. See, misdemeanors aren't trivia. They're the everyday rules that tell citizens that the city is still functioning. Stop enforcing them, and the social contract dissolves. The so-called broken windows theory, demonized by progressives, got something fundamentally right. Small crimes shape the environment. Enforce them, and order follows. Ignore them, and disorder spreads. Mr. Mamdani wants to torch that principle. The Democratic Socialists, the AOCs and others, the Gavin Newsoms. You see, in his vision, fair evasion, jumping at turnstiles, isn't a crime. It's economic survival. Shoplifting isn't theft. It's reclaiming resources. Drunk driving isn't reckless endangerment. It's a mistake to be processed, okay? It's a mistake. This isn't justice. It's surrender. And it's the most important thing I can tell you. And what's also important for me to understand is that you don't fix this by just doing memes. We have to go out door to door, community by community, and put out videos and explain and talk and let everyday citizens go into that community the same way. This guy Mamdani went to like 300 and maybe, don't hold me to the number, but like 350 mosques. His social media is fantastic. Now, the Trump contrast. President Trump in his second term has made law and order a central theme. And he knows, as New Yorkers learned the hard way in the 1990s, that strong enforcement is what turned the city around after the bad old days of muggings and graffiti and fear. Donald Trump champions police, prioritizes victims, and restores deterrence. Mamdani represents the opposite pole. This is a politics, I guess, that prioritizes offenders, excuses criminality, and treats law enforcement as some kind of oppression. And the choice could not be starker. Do New Yorkers and do Americans want Trump-style order or this radical socialist chaos? Do you? Do you want to? What? Do you want to? The stakes are never higher. This election isn't about left versus right. It's about survival versus decay. Do we want a city where subways run on time and stores stay open, or a city where criminals roam freely, where criminals are emboldened by a mayor who thinks misdemeanors don't matter? Every New Yorker has skin in this game. The mom walking her kid to school, the retiree riding a subway, the immigrant chasing a dream in a city that's supposed to reward hard work, not excuse predation. If Mamdani went, and he will, and enacts this radical vision, the city won't just bend, it will break. And when it breaks, it won't be the elite activists or the DSA ideologues who suffer. It'll be regular citizens, regular New Yorkers, regular folks left holding the bag in a city that no longer recognizes it. Now, listen to me carefully. I'm going to say this again. This is not just about New York. This child, this moonbat, this benighted radical, isn't offering reform. They're not offering reform. They're offering dissolution. The promise to decriminalize all misdemeanors is nothing less than an assault on the foundations of public safety. This restorative justice nonsense rhetoric is a big fig leaf for lawlessness. Let me explain something also. This is the most important. New Yorkers have been down this road before, and they know where it leads, and we've seen it, and you're going to see it as well. Crime waves, fear, and decline. The only question is whether they'll remember those lessons at the ballot box, or let ideology trump common sense again, or will they just not show up and not care? Because if Mamdani and other people, if they get their way, New York will be unrecognizable, which is a cautionary tale of what happens when a great city lets radicals experiment with what's common sense, with its very survival. And that's the way that works. Now, here's the bottom line. Maybe you can help me with this. How do we figure a way? To let people know? Because I don't think people take it seriously. Most people just want to sit back and just comment and write and kid and, kibitz and troll and laugh and watch a TV. Here's a good one. Here's a meme of Kamala Harris with a Cracker Barrel. That's funny. Americans don't really know what's going on. They don't read, they know nothing about history. And their children, they hide behind the veneer of social media. They really don't understand this. They talk a good game. They might want to wear an emblem or some kind of what am I trying to say? Some type of Philip, God. A lapel pin. They love lapel pins. Oh, and their crosses. They love their cross. Oh, they love their cross. Look, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. Over here, I'm a Christian. Got that? I'm a Christian. Yep, that's me. I'm a Jew. Here's my Mogan David. Muslims don't do that. It's interesting. They don't. You don't see that. But anyway, that's me. I got my flag. Here's my flag. Here's my Israeli flag. Here's my American flag. Here's my Ukrainian flag. Yay! They don't know dick. Nothing about history. Nothing. They don't really take it seriously. A lot of people don't even vote. The number of people who watch don't really vote. Brasileira Mia says, look what happened with London. New York City better wake up. London is, you're right, Carla, London is indecipherable. And look what's happening in Minnesota, Minneapolis. Prayer calls, they're changing. Listen, I've got no problem. Seriously, I've got no problem with groups of people who are of a different faith. Doesn't bother me at all. Salt Lake City, Mormons didn't hurt anything, didn't cause any problems. It made it better. We have certain parts of the city and certain parts that are Greek. But when you have people taking over, like in Minneapolis, when you want basically, Ethiopians and others just taking over what is happening here? It's one thing when you're losing. It's one thing to augment your rule. In Florida, in Miami, Tampa to an extent, here in Union City, but in Miami, the Cuban community supplemented, made great. Miami loved it. They assimilated perfectly. Now, some places, nobody spoke English. It happened, but we never lost the core function of America. You had better food, you had great food, cigars, cafecito, all that stuff, calle ocho, all that salsa, but America, they embraced. America was premier. They loved law and order. See, so I have no problem. That's not the issue. This is about trying to destroy this country under the ruse, under the guise of ideology. And the problem is most Americans don't care. They talk a good game. A lot of people don't vote, and a lot of people don't really understand it. They couldn't explain it to you. They live in a world like, look, things always kind of work out. Even when New York was at its worst during the New York drop dead, remember A-Beam and all that, people, that's what people think. They figure, you know what, I just, okay? Believe me when I'm telling you this. They live in a world, my friend, where they've had it so easy, Americans. They've had it so easy, and they really don't understand this. And when you're saying, this isn't socialism, this is a cover. They're not talking about planned economies. They're not talking about reallocations of wealth and control of the, no. That's what they say. It's just like people come up with this libertarian, constitutional. They don't know anything about the Constitution. They think they do. Or they'll say, I'm against globalism. What does that mean? Well, something about Soros or something. So don't kid yourself. See, most people don't know what they're talking about. They know kind of like the button words. They don't know anything. We have to go in and change. To change minds by informing. We have to teach. And we have to say, law and order is a very, very simple thing. It's a very simple thing. I would go into I would have people, you see, the Republican Party is the worst. They don't exist. I would have groups. I would infiltrate the critical areas. The problem is we have 5 boroughs, okay? And of those 5 boroughs, we have places that are more important than others to attend to. Brasileira says, allowing this eroding of the very foundations that define America, left unchecked, such a trajectory could lead not to cultural enrichment, but to the gradual dissolution of the American identity. I could not have said it better myself. It's a very simple thing. But Carla, how do we do this? How do we let people know? How do we let people know? How do we let people know? This is nice. I'm talking to you, but I want to go everywhere. I want to go to people in Iowa. I don't want to go necessarily red states. I want to say, this is something you got to understand. This is not just about winning an election. This is about maintaining the actual aspects, the benefits, the truth, the tradition of our country. How do we do this? How do we do this? This is a thing I want people to understand. And the problem is, people are fat and happy. They really don't understand. They don't care. Now, if you say, look, I don't really want to get into this Middle East thing. Okay. All right. I really am not that interested in Ukraine. Okay, that's about misallocation of assets, but okay, fine. I dig. No problem. If that's the way it is. But locally, believe me when I tell you this. This is the irony. Law and order is the easiest thing to maintain. It's the easiest thing. It's the easiest. Easy. You know, when you fumigate a house, when you irrigate, if you have gophers in your backyard, or you have moles, or you have whatever you have these things, you flood them, you eliminate them, and then you maintain. So the first stage is to flush, to get rid of everything, to go after people and really, really, really hurt them. Hurt them. Let them know, Jesus, there's a new sheriff in town. And I mean excessive, loud, tanks, MRAPs, just like they're doing in D.C. There's a new sheriff. And not for a while and then stop. And then to let people know. When a Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C., stands up, you've got to go into the communities and say, look what she's saying. She doesn't want your safety. She's offended by the fact that we're keeping you safe. She would like to return this. This is about turf and jurisdiction. She hired a woman to be your chief of police who doesn't know what chain of command means. Oh, this isn't even. What am I trying to say? This is beyond idiocy, beyond lunacy. We can't do this. We can't do this. But here's my question. What do we do? What do we do? How do I get people to care? What do you suggest? Do we go on Fox News? Again, I keep saying, Fox News is, people think that means something. I swear to God. Or they think, hey, did you see that meme? That was hilarious. Hilarious. What are you talking about? I don't understand. I really don't. I don't understand anymore how this thing works. I don't know what I have to do to scare people. I don't understand it. I don't know what I have to do to scare people. I don't. I don't know what I have to do to make people grasp what is happening here. This is the greatest chance in the world that we have, the greatest opportunity that we have by virtue of social media and streaming, and we really can get to people. And I think we've made a tremendous difference. Tremendous. I got to get people out to vote. And I also have to tell people, listen, keep your liberal ideas regarding, whatever it is, abortion, or that's fine. But law and order, no, different story. No, this There is no leftist law and order. All right. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Don't you understand something? And the majority of people, remember, just don't care. They don't care. And they hang around people who don't care. Now, I don't want you to lose sleep over this, or wear a hair shirt, or you got to carry a cross. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that. But there has to be done to address this thing immediately. And you also have to understand, do not be a cheerleader for President Trump. If he does something great, terrific. But don't feel that you're part of MAGA is just to say everything's great. No, there's some things that are just stupid. The Epstein thing was a disaster. We looked like fools. You know that's over with, right? You know that, right? It's done. It's done. It's through. You know that, right? It's done. It's done. And Pam Bondi will never address it. They'll say, well, didn't you bring it? No. It's done. It's finished. It's through. It's over. It's done. It's finished. Ever find out what happened? Ever get to the truth? Nothing. What do you think's going to happen with John Bolton? What do you think? What's going to happen to John Bolton? Remember, when they executed a search warrant in Mar-a-Lago, they charged him with something. I mean, it might have been dismissed, but they don't just search for the heck of it. What do you think's going to happen? Nothing. Nothing. This was their thing? John Bolton? That's it? Nothing will happen. The mustache, the walrus, Wilford Brimley, nothing. What about Hillary? Nothing. I don't know what it is. This is why people are suspect. This is why people are conspiracy theorists. This is why people think the fix is in, because of the fact that nothing happens. Nothing ever happens. And nobody complains. And what they'll do is they keep talking about how, Tulsi Gabbard keeps saying, well, there's all of this, this Russia gate was all and a conspiracy. What are you telling us for? Why are you telling us? Nobody's ever asked that, because they want to be on Fox News. Don't you understand? The Republican Party is Fox News. That's it. That's all they want to do, is be on Fox News. And they want to go on Sean Hannity, and they want to... Lindsey Graham? Lindsey Graham? Our friend Carla says, I would like to see arrests, but when we ask, we are given the runaround. Oh, not only the runaround, we're ignored, Carla. We're ignored completely. Nobody cares about this stuff. No, I don't. The two people that I like, I told you this before. Not everything they do, but I like the fact that they're mixing it up. Tucker Carlson is not mixing anything up. Have you noticed that? Tucker is not mixing anything up. Nothing. Tucker's not. I mean, it's interesting, but you're not saying, whoa, wow. Did you hear that? No. It's interesting. Joe Rogan. It's very interesting. Nothing earth-shattering. Nothing. But Laura Loomer, Nick Fuentes, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Big time. And what they're saying is, I don't care what they say about black people or Jews. I don't endorse that. So what? There are people I endorse 100% who never say anything, who never do anything. What they're doing is this. They're both suggesting one thing, that this Trump thing is being sidelined and derailed by a bunch of quislings. A lot of people who were involved in it really don't belong in the biz. They do nothing They're doing absolutely nothing. They're liars. They don't do anything. They're just sort of, I don't know what. You've got these other folks who she has no importance anymore. You remember when Ann Coulter was important? Ann Coulter is really pissed off with Trump. She doesn't matter anymore. Nobody cares. Have you noticed that? Certain people. Now, when I say care, I'm not expecting people in the radical left to care what Nick Fuentes said. No, but I'm saying for the first time in our pocket, so to speak, somebody's saying something of interest. Again, I wish they would calm down certain things. Look what he said. Look what they said about, or she said about Laura Loomer said about Lindsey Graham being gay, and is that important? I don't know. Is that important, really? Is it important? No. But sometimes you want to mix things up a little bit just to say, you know what, this guy is not what he appears to be. I don't know. But he's a shill for AIPAC, and he's a shill for Ukraine, he's a shill for NATO, he's a shill. We know who these people are. Try to explain that. How many people do you know? How many people do you think can define NATO? None. I asked somebody the other day, a younger person. When I mean younger, it could be almost 40 years old. I said, can you explain what Zionism is? Have you ever heard this? No. He said, you don't even know? I mean, you never heard this? Really? It's like if you mention, like, if somebody said, have you ever heard of COVID? No. You ever heard of ivermectin? No. Did you ever hear of ivermectin? It means so you haven't really been investigating it, because at least you can say, well, I've heard that name, I've seen that name. So sometimes you ask people questions, not because the concept isn't important, but it tests how deep they are into it, and they don't really know anything. They don't know. Americans don't know anything. None. Absolutely no. Nothing. I don't. But there's a lot of people who know things. Alex Jones has been on fire. Alex Jones is one of the best sources. Every day, start off with Al. Every single day, I start off with him right off the bat. It kind of gets me going, okay, that's interesting, because I know that's going to be talking about something that's a critical thing. I also go elsewhere. I go to Zero Hedge. I go to Global Research. I go to RT. If you want to find out what's going on in Russia, RT. You want to find out what's going on in Zelensky, RT. RT's the best. Period. End of discussion. There's not even a. And if you want to find out what's going on in Israel, if that's your interest, I think you know where to go for that one. There's a brand new group of us, ladies and germs, and I call it the Napolitano Connection. And they brought people together who may or may not necessarily agree. Max Blumenthal, Aaron Mate, Anya Parampel, who's been terrific. Abby Martin has been, well, she's not in that group, but Abby Martin's good. Katie Halper, Scott Ritter. By the way, I'm going to be talking to Scott Ritter coming up tomorrow. Talking to him. There's a whole group of people. Mearsheimer, of course, Colonel McGregor, all these wonderful folks. And what's really interesting to note, with all this group, is that they're not necessarily locked in ideologically into the left or the right, but they're into this group of people who care about the truth when it comes to certain aspects, whether it's the Middle East, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's peace, whether anti-globalism. And they're so terrific. And that's why you may say, this guy is terrific because he's wonderful. Some people say, I like Indian food for one thing. I like the samosas, or I like the naan, or whatever it is. I like Korean food for the bulgogi, or whatever it is, for the short ribs. I like that. You might despise everything else. But there are some people who might have one particular ideology they're very good at. Very, very, very good at. And I know that if there were no Middle East issue to talk about, I probably wouldn't be listening to any of these people about anything regarding, because they're into this leftist and they love Mamdani, and that's okay. I'm not gonna. But when it comes to this, they're very good. So make sure you always focus on people who know what they're talking about regarding a particular issue. There are some folks who were spot on regarding COVID. Boy, how many people are right about that? Look at all the heart disease. Look at all the problems. Look at all of this stuff, which you and other people warned about. But you were called crazy. You were called a conspiracy theorist. You were deplatformed, dethroned, and you were dematerialized. So anyway, so that's where we are with that. So it remains really good. In any event, my friends, thank you so much. You were so terrific. Follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. Thank you so much. And Carla, thank you so much. Brasileira Mia, thank you so much. Carla, the Cookie CEO, that's who we are. We know who you are. We thank you so much for your kindness and your contributions and the like. And also, don't forget Lionel Legal. And, of course, make sure you like this and subscribe to Lionel Nation, and bring people on board. Bring people on board. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. Thank you so much for watching. Love you to death. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget, Tuesday, big day. America celebrates. I'm milking this. Why? Because I can. Anyway, have a great day. Monkey's dead. Show's over. Sue ya. Dad.